Welcome back to IAS Net Study, and this is the current affairs series where we are going to integrate ethics with current affairs. It is decode ethics through current affairs, and here in this video we are going to talk about the current affairs from April 5th to April 14th. So let's get into the discussion of this. As you are aware of it, we are going to integrate the static with the concepts what you learn in the theory portion. That those static concepts are going to be integrated with the dynamic concepts of your ethics, so that it would be helpful for you to give examples. It would be helpful for you to enhance your content. So both for section A and section B, this is going to be very helpful. So the first article. So let's get into the discussion of the news articles. And most of these articles, usually most of them are taken from Hindu, and very few here and there I'm going to take it from Indian Express. So the first article talks about migration. Here, if you look at the news article, migrant workers, they are going back to their villages, they are going back to their native because of non-availability of cylinder. See, availability of cylinder directly linked to their business operations. Because of non-availability of cylinder, it has created difficulty in their livelihood. Because of that, they are leaving the places where they are working and they are going back to their villages. So this is the news article. This is what article is talking about. But what you have to focus here, it is with respect to the migration. Questions have come in the examination with respect to migration, both in section A as well as the section B. The section A questions regarding what are the ethical reasons, what are social reasons, these kind of questions have come. And in the section B, case studies with respect to migrant laborers, case studies with respect to migration of farmers, these kind of questions we have seen in the section B also. So let's talk about migration. What are the ethical reasons? We are not going to talk about the social reasons, all these things. We are going to discuss from ethical perspective. So we are going to see the ethical reasons and also ethical solutions. So let's see what are the ethical solutions here. What are the ethical reasons first? What are the reasons? Why am I leaving? See, I am leaving in a place A. Now I am moving to the place B. Now, why am I moving from A to B? What is the reason behind it? Because I'm not happy here. There are some restrictions here, and I want to get rid of all these restrictions. I want to have a better life. I want to escape a situation in place A. That is the reason I am migrating to the place B. So there is a reasons. But let us see the ethical reasons. Why am I leaving place A and why am I shifting to the place B? The first and foremost aspect is the inequality. In place here there is an inequality, there is an injustice. Because of this inequality I am not happy about it. I'm not happy being here, so I want to escape this. And this inequality, it directly going to impact the human dignity. So there is a violation of basic human dignity and I am not happy about it, and that is the reason I am going to the place B. So the first ethical reason is inequality. And then, see, I have certain capabilities, I have certain dreams. I want to achieve all these, all my aspirations, all my desires, all my dreams. For that, in order to enhance my capabilities, there is no platform here. There are no opportunities here. No, I want to have a better education. I want to have a better health opportunities. I want to have a employment which I enjoy. I want to do a job which I am comfortable doing it. But I don't get any of these kind of arrangements in a place A. That is the reason I am moving here. It is my freedom of choice. I want to explore, I want to improve my capabilities. For that I am moving to the place B. So here another ethical reason is freedom of choice. There is no choice here in the place A. I'm moving to the place B so that I can expand my capabilities. So freedom of choice. And the third is being unfair or intolerance. These are also the reason that is pushing me to migrate to the different. Unequal opportunity, lack of development, these are some of the reason. Or maybe caste based discrimination, language based discrimination, gender based discrimination. See, it creates unfair environment, it creates intolerance in a society, and this is also some of the ethical reasons that is pushing me to go to another place, that is pushing me to go to a place B. So next ethical reason is the unfairness and intolerance. And the next is, see, I have certain moral responsibility. I have moral duty towards my family. I want to give a better life to my children. I want to take care of my father, mother, and my wife, and I want to fulfill their desires also. So there is a moral responsibility. But here, me being in place A, I cannot fulfill that because there are restrictions, there are inequalities, there are intolerance. So I want to fulfill my responsibility. In order to fulfill my accountability and responsibility, I am going to the place B. So another reason for migration is responsibility, accountability. This is another ethical reason. And we talked about inequality. Inequality eventually leads to injustice. We talked about, in the last slide we talked about inequality. Here we talked about violation of basic human dignity, and we talked about caste based discrimination, the gender based discrimination, class based discrimination. These kind of inequality, this inequality, these are systemic inequality. This systemic inequality will lead to structural injustice, and I want to escape the structural injustice, so that is the reason I am moving to place B. And then I talked about responsibility, accountability I have towards my family. So the extended version of this responsibility is ethics of care. I have moral responsibility towards my family, and I have to earn not only for me, even for my dependents, even for my family members. So there is a ethics of care. So I have responsibility towards my dependents. So there is a ethics of care, and also better future aspiration. We talked about capabilities. I want to expand my capabilities. So along with capabilities, I want to have a better future. I want to have upward mobility. In turn, it is self-fulfillment. So in order to have a self-fulfillment also, I need to go to a different place where I can enhance my capabilities. By enhancing my capabilities, I can go for a, I can ensure my moral responsibility. By ensuring all these things, I can have a self-fulfillment. And these are some of the ethical reasons of migration. Examples: COVID migration. See, COVID migrants. I just want to tell you one more thing. Migrants, refugees, and we have asylum seekers. These three terminologies, there is a difference. Don't get confused with all the three: migrants, refugees, and asylum seeker. But whatever the ethical reasons we talked about, you can replicate with certain level of modification to these concepts also. And even ethical solution, what are we going to discuss now, the same ethical solution also you can modify a little bit, and you can write for those kind of question also. So you can use this migration, this concept, ethical reasons and ethical solution, as a fodder material for all the three concepts: migration, refugees, asylum seeker. And again, refugee, you can give a example of Rohingya, you can give an example of Ukraine. And asylum seekers, if there is a persecution is going on, then the people from that place will move to another place to escape this danger, escape this persecution. So this differentiation you need to aware of: migration, refugees, and asylum. So we talked about ethical reasoning. Now let's see the ethical solutions. What are the solutions to it? The first and foremost solution is follow the principle of non-refoulement. Non-refoulement, it majorly focus on the refugee asylum seeker concept, but you can write it for a migration or migration related questions also. Principle of non-refoulement. It means that you are not returning these refugees, you are not returning these migrants, you are not returning these asylum seekers to the place of danger, you are not sending them back. So here, what is the value you are focusing? You're focusing on the value of compassion, you're focusing on the value of empathy. So this is one ethical solution. Focusing on value of compassion and empathy will lead to the principle of refoulement. This is one of the ethical solution to handle the issue of migration. And then the state itself, it has a certain responsibility. In the ethical reasoning, I told you that ethics of care, me being an individual, I have certain moral responsibility towards my family. Now state, it is, there is an obligation. DPSP, it, it gives clear guidelines to the state what to do and what not to do. And to protect the citizens and to protect their rights, it is also responsibility, to give the basic necessities, basic uh, facilities. These are all some of the responsibilities of state. Now you change this to a ethical caregiving state. So consider these things. It is not just legal, beyond that you consider as your moral responsibility, you consider as your moral duty. If a state consider this as a moral responsibility and ethical duty, then the state becomes ethical caregiving state. From good governance, it becomes ethical governance. So ethical caregiving state recognizes its moral duty to alleviate suffering and provide humanitarian assistance. This is also one of the ethical solution. Changing state to a or migratory policy focusing on ethical caregiving state. And the third point is implement the follow the values or the virtues of Gandhi's compassion, follow the virtues of Ambedkar's social justice. If you implement these things in your policy making and policy implementation, again you can handle this issue of migration in an effective way. And then the next is utilitarian perspective. Utilitarian perspective, you know that there is a maximum benefit to maximum number of people. Extension of this utilitarian perspective, it is win-win situation. Win-win situation, it is that person, see, now I am migrating from a place A to I am migrating to the place B. Now I have come to the place B, but here what happens, I want to contribute my skill set to the place B. Now I am getting advantage. I have come to the place B. Now I have been accepted here and I am getting opportunities. At the same time, I am contributing to the society of a place B. I am contributing to the economy of a place B through my skill set. So I am giving my contribution. In turn, I am also receiving benefits. I am also receiving protection or security, social security in the place B. So it is win-win situation. Both the host community as well as the migrant communities, both of them are getting advantage in this situation. So you need to create this kind of situation here, where even the host community is also not very much concerned or very much conscious regarding migrants. See, this is what in reality, this is what happening. The host community is very much skeptical about the future or the change of demography, all these things. But once you ensure the social security, once you create this environment of win-win situation, the utilitarian extension of this utilitarian perspective, again there will be an acceptance. This is another ethical solution for migration. And then whatever the migration policies you make sure that the ethical values are infused into it. What are the values? Like compassion, empathy, tolerance, generosity, social justice. These are some of the virtues, these are some of the ethical values need to be inculcated in the migration related policy by the government. So these are some of the solutions, ethical solutions. We talked about ethical reasons for migration. Now we are talking about ethical solutions that are required to handle this migration. So ethical reasonings, ethical reasons, and we talked about ethical solution. So migration is very important topic from the examination perspective. I think this covers the entire concept of migration for paper. And let's move to the next article. The next article, it is a, I think, editorial page. We had a World Health Day, and this World Health Day one editorial has been written, and in this editorial the author is talking about one health approach. So here what we are going to do is, I am not going to talk about the content of this editorial, that is not required. Again, the author is telling that we need to ensure a one health approach, we need to integrate, we need to have a framework where we can inculcate this in our policy framework. This is what the author is talking about. But let us see the ethical aspects or ethical the perspective of this one health approach. So one health approach in general, what is the definition of, or what is the basic understanding of one health approach? It is a framework, it is an integrated framework. What are we integrating here? We are integrating the health of human beings, we are integrating the health of animals, we are integrating the health of ecosystem also. So all the three entities are coming together, and we are developing policies considering health of all the three entities. Because the human health, it is going to impact the animal health, animal health, it is going to impact the environmental health, and animal health, it has a significant impact on the human health as well. So there is a very much influence is there. One aspect, one entity is clearly influencing the health of another entity. So if you focus only on a human health, the this aspect, the impact of animals on humans, impact of humans on animals health, we are going to ignore it. Or if you ignore environmental health, the impact of ecosystem on human health, you are ignoring it. So this will not let you to find a holistic solution for the health related problems what we are facing at this point. So in order to handle healthcare or the human health in an effective way, this is one of the ways to handle it, one health approach. See, this is the basic concept, but there are deeper ethical considerations are there with respect to one health approach. And what are these deep ethical concerns or ethical considerations? The first and foremost is that it is talking about ethics of interconnection. So it is not individually we are talking about human health, individually we are not talking about the animal health. As a integrity framework, we are considering all the three entities here. So this promotes an ethics of interconnectedness. So till now the policies which is anthropocentric, Anthropocentric is human centric policies. Now we are moving anthropocentric to a integrated approach. And here, what are the values we are focusing on? Shared vulnerability. We are focusing on collective responsibility. So One Health approach, it ensures the value of sharedness. It ensures the value of collective responsibility. And then the fairness, it another value is fairness, the fair distribution of health benefits as well as the health burdens across from various entities, humans, animals, and ecosystem. So the fairness, the value of fairness is also visible in the One Health approach. And then we have a see you are considering to enhance the health aspect of animals, health aspect of ecosystem. What other values we focus on? Empathy and compassion. These are very generalistic, you can write it for almost all the answers, I think. So empathy, compassion, and we are talking about a virtue of care, and we are talking about the virtue of stewardship. So the virtues like compassion, empathy, care, and stewardship is also visible in the One Health approach. And it talks about duty from a deontological perspective also. I have duty to protect my biodiversity, to protect my ecosystem. So it is not only protecting now, it is not about only protecting, it is about sustainability. So you are protecting it for a future generation also. So another value system is sustainability. Along with sustainability, it is talking about intergenerational justice also. So future generation also, you're talking about, you are taking a step to protect animals, biodiversity, human health, so that for future generations we are giving a good world, we are giving a good biodiversity, we are giving a good ecosystem. So it is talking about intergenerational equity, intergenerational justice, both intergenerational equity and intergenerational justice. And it emphasizes on prevention over cure. And here we are focusing on the value of prudence, we are focusing on value of a foresight, mainly focus on the value of virtue of prudence here. And also, if you are inculcating all these things, a united approach or integrated approach, it clearly shows that there is an ethical decision making. So these are some ethical considerations with respect to One Health approach. So One Health approach, the basic definition, and what are the ethical aspects of One Health approach, we have seen here. Let's move to the next topic. The next article, if you look at it, several villagers, police personnel injured in clash in Odisha amid protest against mining of bauxite. See, the protest was going on with respect to the mining process here, but what you have to focus is the mining aspect here. So let's see the what are the ethical considerations are necessary for the mining, and also the what are the dilemmas, all these aspects. Let's talk about the mining topic. And so many case studies have come, it is not one or two, so many case studies have come from past 13 years with respect to mining. uh, Case studies like mining versus environmental protection, mining versus health of laborers, mining was if some kind of issue or some kind of altercation is going on with the villagers and the mining, or the displacement, as a district magistrate, what stand you are going to take and how are you going to handle this situation. These kind of case studies have, so many case studies have come. So let's talk about ethical consideration of mining. What are the aspects you need to keep in mind before granting or before giving permission to the mining? So let's see the ethical considerations which are necessary for mining. Usually the first aspect you need to keep in mind is the sustainability. Why is it necessary? Because mining, it is going to disrupt the landscape, it is going to disrupt the ecosystem which is already present. If you look at the environmental reasons, it contaminates water and soil, it is going to impact the soil, it is going to impact the ecosystem, it is going to destroy the biodiversity. Now it is your responsibility to maintain the sustainability. So the first value before granting permission to the mining, what you have to keep in mind, sustainability. And then a lot of, whenever the mining happens, or even for the construction of dam, all these things, some infrastructural development or some commercial activity, eventually there is a aspect of displacement, there are aspects of loss of livelihood, and this is going to damage the cultural heritage also, which is prevalent in that region. Now it is your responsibility to make sure that you're going to handle in an effective way. See, 100% you cannot get rid of displacement, loss of livelihood, it will be there, but the way you handle it, that is what it matters. How you handle it, what are the values you use while making the policies, or while implementing the policies, all these things matter a lot. So these things you should keep in mind. So this is another ethical consideration, especially you must be aware of the displacement, you must be aware of how to handle this loss of livelihood, displacement, or the cultural aspects of, or the freedom of the people who are living in that region, all these things. And the third is that, see, there is a disproportionality, the factor of disproportionality is there in the mining. The mining, it is in a place A, mining is happening, and here they are extracting some minerals, and usage of this mineral, it is not happening for the people who are living in the location A. It is been sent to the some other location, maybe a different country altogether. Here what is happening, the damage to the effect ecosystem or the health impacts, all these things, these are happening at location B. Who are taking advantage of all these minerals, it is to some other location in the B. Now there is a factor of responsibilities, all the negatives are handled by people who are living in the location A, all the positives are handled by people who are living in the location B. So the factor of disproportionality is there, so you need to minimize these factor of disproportionality. There is, you should make sure that the concept of equity should be there. So this another ethical consideration you need to keep in your mind before granting the permission, the factor of disproportionality. And then when within the process of mining, make sure that you don't compromise with the freedom of an individual, you don't compromise with dignity of an individual. Profit, yes, we need that. All the companies, private companies who are invested in these the mining processes, obviously they want to make money, but profit, yes, this is very important factor, but that does not mean that you have to compromise with the dignity of a individual, the dignity of a people who are working in your mining company. So dignity, no compromise with dignity is another ethical factor. So you must prioritize the health of a people who are working in the mining. They must make sure that safety aspects are taken into the consideration. So production profit, it should not be above the dignity of an individual. So this is another ethical consideration. And then ultimately we talked about the factor of disproportionality. In a long term, in a long run, make sure that this mining, there should be a genuine developmental aspect related to the mining. So long lasting development should be focusing, it is not about the immediate profit, it is not about the immediate production, immediate exports, all these things. In a, from a larger perspective, down the line after 10 or 20 years, if you look at the situation, there is a genuine development, there should be a genuine development in that region, there should be a long lasting developmental impacts in that region, that also should be taken into the consideration. So we talked about 4 or 5 considerations here: sustainability, uh, consider and take care of displacement and loss of livelihood, we talked about factor of disproportionality, we talked about human dignity over production, and we talked about long lasting development. Along with that, principle of don't compromise with principle of intergenerational equity or intergenerational justice. In the last discussion also, we talked about this concept of intergeneration generational equity, intergenerational justice. And the another consideration is that there must not be any force. We talked about loss of livelihood and displacement. Make sure that consent must be there. So whatever the decisions you are taking, even the displacement, livelihood, everything happening, you are giving an alternative, it is fine, but it is with the consent of people who are living in that region. You cannot say that we are giving a very big amount for your loss of place or loss of livelihood. No, it should be based on the consent. Money is important, but ethical reason, it is the consent of the local people should be there. This consent, you should not compromise with the dignity. So this is another ethical consideration. And you must ensure participatory decision making. The people who are living in that region, they have the authority to take decision, they should have that authority to take decision whether to uh, give permission to this mining here in this location or whether to reject it. So participatory decision making and also autonomy, the people who are living in that region, they should have the freedom and autonomy to take the decision. So ensure autonomy and participatory decision making, and also ensure the fairness, the value of fairness, that is fair distribution of benefits. So we talked about factor of disproportionality. So in order to remove this factor of disproportionality, what is the available option? It is being fair, it is being tolerant. And whatever the environmental impact assessment, whatever the social impact assessment, make sure that everything is placed in front of the people. So what exactly this particular point is talking about? It is talking about transparency. The value of transparency you need to uphold. So these are some of the ethical considerations. Make sure that you keep these things in your mind before granting permission to the mining. And also some of the solutions, if you look at it, ensure ethical mining. Let's see, mining, it is for economic development. These commercial aspects are very much important. You cannot say that I am going to completely eliminate all these things, and it's impossible at this point of time. We need to have economic development. For that economic development, the extension of economic infrastructure, or having these kind of economic related activities which are very much necessary. But the thing is, there should be a balance. One side there is an economic development, another side there is environmental protection. One side there is an economic development, another side there is a social justice. You balance all these things. So how do you do that? Through the ethical mining. So ethical mining, keep the mind, keep in your mind that in the conclusion, use these kind of things, that ethical mining, these kind of terminologies is going to add weightage to your answers. And also, whatever the policies you make, you follow the value based approach. Value based approach, it is going to ensure the trust, it is going to ensure the acceptance in the society, acceptance at the public level. So people are going to trust you, people are going to accept you. So whatever the policies you are making, it is not only for profit, it is not only for production, it is for the overall development. But in that development, make sure that there is a balancing factor. You're not over utilizing the over mining the natural resources, or you're not there is no factor of disproportionality. Make sure that your policies, mining policies, is supporting ethical mining, and also your decision making is focusing on the value based approach. So these are some of the ethical considerations you need to keep in mind as a state, or as a district magistrate, or as a politician, as a prime minister. You have mining related permission in front of you, and you have to take a decision. These are some of the ethical consideration you should keep in your mind before saying yes to the project. So these are some of the ethical considerations. I hope I cleared this topic of mining here. Let's move to the next one. The next article is with respect to Shabrimala case, and what exactly this news article is talking about. See, Shabrimala case. Let's talk about 2019 judgment, 18 judgment. In 2018, Supreme Court gave the Shabrimala verdict. See, Shabrimala, it is a temple in Kerala, in a Pattanamthitta district. So what there is a tradition in that temple that no menstruating women, they are not allowed in the allowed to visit the temple. So this is the restriction is there in the temple. So this particular restriction, somebody filed a petition in the Supreme Court saying that this goes against the constitutional morality. Constitutional morality talks about gender equality, all these things. It mainly equality, but here there is a gender based discrimination is followed in this temple. So judiciary, it has to correct it. This was the somewhere it case was related to on these kind of values. Now, in 2018, Supreme Court gave a judgment. Supreme Court rejected this tradition of a discriminatory practice. This was in 2018's verdict. Now, a review petition has been filed. Review petition is that, see, if Supreme Court has given a judgment, now yes, it can go for a review of its judgment. But the thing is, if an initial judgment is given by a five judges, consider it as a five judges. Now, the review petition should be heard by more number of judges. And here I think it is five judges, they have given a decision. So 2018, now nine judge bench Supreme Court, they are hearing the case. They have not given a complete judgment. Now they've made certain observations here, and we are going to discuss the observations here, and what are the ethical dilemmas or ethical the tussle is there in this observation. See, we are going to discuss this Shabrimala judgment. Once everything finishes, we are going to have a deeper discussion. At this point of time, we are just mainly focus on the what are the ethical aspects of the observation. Let's talk about what exactly the observation is. Now, the nine judge bench of Supreme Court, it has made an observation. Now, initially, what the stand it has taken in 2018, now the stand has been changed, and even the government stand, the Kerala state government stand, also been changed now. The Communist Party, even that point of time, it was the Communist Party, and they questioned this sampradaya, they questioned this custom. Now indirectly they are supporting that, telling that these are the traditions of this temple and we are not supposed to interfere in that. Even the stance of the government, state government has changed, stance of the Supreme Court is also visibly it is different now. Now what exactly the observation made? Supreme Court told that every this particular temple has certain custom, it has certain tradition. If you want to visit the temple, you follow the customs tradition of this temple. These traditions are called sampradaya. So all these rituals, all these customs, all these tradition, you follow that. If you don't want to follow this, don't go to the temple. So this is what the Supreme Court observation, this is what Supreme Court is talking about. Now the Indian government, the central government has told that, see, court should not interfere in religious related issues. See, the thing is, court has expertise on legal aspect, legal related matters. It is fine, you take a decision. But religious matters, anything related to spirituality, court does not have any expertise over these issues. So because of that, court should not interfere in religious matters or religious aspects. So this is what the central government is talking about, and somewhere even the state government, it is also taking a very soft stand with respect to Shabrimala case at this point of time. Now this is what central government told, that you don't have the expertise on religious matter, don't take any decision. This is what central government. Now the court told that, see, we know that we know our restrictions, where exactly we can interfere and where exactly we can take a step. We are aware of these things. But in the name of sampradaya, in the name of traditions and rituals, if you are creating some kind of behavior, or if you are putting any act or any actions which are against constitutional morality, which goes against the fundamental rights of an individual, we are going to step in, and you cannot question us. If anything goes wrong, we have that right, we have that ability to interfere and we can correct it. So you don't tell what to do and what not to do. We know when to step in and when to take a step back. So this is what Supreme Court has told that. So the court is trying to decide bigger question about the religious freedom. How much right do temples or religious groups have to maintain their own customs? When can court interfere? So at what level, for what actions court can interfere? So court is going to decide that, and you are not going to put any restrictions on it. So this is what ultimately the news article is talking about. Now what are the ethical dilemmas or ethical aspects here in this case? That's what we are going to see, that what are the aspects here. One side, there is a discussion regarding traditions, there is a discussion regarding custom sampradaya of a temple. Another side, article is talking about the Supreme Court observation is talking about individual rights. So tradition, individual rights. One side, there is a religious autonomy. The constitution also talks about right to freedom of religion. So there is a religious autonomy, and there every institution should respect this religious autonomy and religious tradition. This argument is one side. Another side, there is a factor of personal responsibility, there is a factor of voluntary choice, there is a factor of fundamental rights with freedom and choice. This is another argument. One side, individual rights, another side, community rights. As a community, we are following this tradition, we are following this sampradaya in this temple. Now individual, there is a person, she is not happy about this discrimination and she is raising her voice against these discrimination. Another side, group of people, they are telling that this is what we believe in, it has been we this has been followed from years together, in from so many decades we are following, maybe centuries we are following these things. So community rights one side, individual rights another side. One side, if the court involve in all these kind of cultural aspect, this is going to erode the cultural heritage of a religion. So erosion of cultural heritage one side, another side, it can lead to a fragmentation. If these kind of discriminatory practices are there, it can lead to the uh, disharmony and fragmentation at the social level. One side, there is an argument for gender equality, another side, contextual religious practice, another dilemma. And on the whole, if you look at it, the entire discussions, all these things, there is an observation, a Supreme Court observation, it promotes tolerance through boundaries. Supreme Court told that, see, if you're uh, if your sampradayas or if your traditions it goes against constitutional morality, we are going to step in. We know when to step in and when to take a step back. It means that it is promoting tolerance, the cultural aspect, cultural heritage, but at the same time there should be a boundary to it. You should not cross this boundary, you should not cross this, it should not compromise with the constitutional morality. So these are some of the observations we made in this news article with respect to the statement given by Supreme Court. We are going to have a detailed discussion of the Sabrimala case once the ultimate, the final conclusion has been given by the Supreme Court. At this point of time, these are some of the debatable issues we saw in this news article, right? So let's move to the next one. The next article, it is with respect to Jyotirao Phule. The 199th birth anniversary has been celebrated in New Delhi. The birth anniversary of Jyotirao Phule here, and the statements with respect to Jyotiba Phule is given by President, is given by Prime Minister, is given by the Home Minister, and so certain statements given by the leader of opposition and opposition party, eminent personalities of opposition parties also. This is what news article is talking about. But what we have to focus is the Jyoti Rao Phule. You in the first unit you have eminent personalities and the lessons learned from the lives of eminent personalities. This is one of the topics in your first unit. So we are going to connect this to that particular topic in the first unit. So let's see what are the values we can derive, what are the ethical values we can derive out of the life of Jyoti Rao Phule. Basic things, the basic story of Jyoti Rao Phule and also wife Savitri Bai Phule. We are going to derive some of the values from their lives, and we are going to see how can we inculcate these values in our life. Actually, there was a question that which eminent personality has influenced you and how do you inculcate those values in your life. This kind of question, somewhere directly or indirectly, these kind of questions are coming regularly in the UPSC. So let's talk about Jyoti Rao Phule here. He's a social reformer, he's a thinker, and he's an activist. And what are the values we can learn from it? He enhanced the value of equality, enhanced the value of wisdom, he enhanced the value of the uh, justice. So there were caste-based oppression, caste-based discrimination, gender-based discrimination. It was very much prevalent at that point of time, and he raised his voice against all these exploitatory behavior at the social level. So he questioned this caste-based oppression, and he took stand, very active stand, to eliminate these kind of caste-based discrimination. He questioned the gender equality. He questioned the ignorance, all these aspects, ignorance, intolerance, and non-acceptance, non-inclusivity, all these uh, uh, negative aspects are questioned, and he ensured, he on the whole, the values we derive out of his the life is that equality and the fortitude, because he is raising the voice against caste-based discrimination and the gender-based discrimination. So value of equality is there, and there is a value of courage, moral courage, fortitude. These are some of the values we derive out of it. And there is a value of truth, equality, and also rationalism is another aspect. Rationality will it, see, he told that because of non-rationality, these oppression, these exploitations are happening at the social level, are happening at the ground level. He told that how do you remove that? There is an ignorance, and you need to remove this ignorance. To for that you need education. This education is going to bring the wisdom, knowledge, you can connect to it. So education is going to bring the knowledge in turn it is going to bring you the wisdom. When you have the wisdom, whatever the decisions you make, it is based on the justice. So this ensures the value of justice. And there, if there is a social justice, it will lead to the social progress, and this social progress is very much necessary for a human dignity. It is very much necessary for the freedom from exploitation. So all these values are interlinked. These are not separate values altogether. They are all interlinked values. One value is linked to another value. The even this is what especially when we discuss the fourth unit, I think fifth unit, moral philosophers, we talked about we were discussing about virtue ethics. There also I talked about the same thing. Either all the values come together or there are no values. You cannot say that I have one value and I am lacking another value. I have a value of integrity, but I don't respect the value of truth. No, this is not going to happen. Either you need to have all the values the principle, all the values together, or you don't have any value. So this is also, you can see the similar thing in the life lessons of Jyotiba Phule also. And he taught that all humans are born free. Again, he's talking about equality, he's talking about the justice. And with respect to gender equality, he supported widow remarriages, he supported domestic, he opposed the domestic violence, and he advocated women's autonomy. And how do you ensure the autonomy and freedom? Through the education and through the economic independence. So this is with respect to women equality, women rights, empowerment of women. And I told you that courage, moral courage, fortitude, these are another values we can derive out of life. So there are so many instances where clearly he and wife also, both of them, they've shown the moral courage. They stood against the established norms of the society, and there were so many oppose people. There are so many people who are opposing their point of view, or their initiations they've taken at the social level, but still they stood for it. So it shows that courage, it shows the fortitude, it shows the moral courage. And also they ensure that they never sacrifice their self-respect. And they also told that if you want to bring any change, the collective action is very much necessary. This is another value, being a shared responsibility, collective responsibility. This is also another value system we derive out of their lives, both Jyotirao Phule and the Savitribai Phule. And he told that true ethics flow from a human dignity, empathy, not from a religious doctrines, not from a religious dogma here. So, human dignity, empathy, compassion, tolerance, inclusivity, this is above the religious doctrines. So, he rejected the established religious doctrines. If any religious doctrines lead to the social injustice, you reject those doctrines. And he, another important value is the truth. Here also I told you about that. The truth is another important value we learned from the Jyotiba play. And he started the Satya Shodhak Samaj. And if you look at the tagline, truth alone triumphs when we actually seek it. So it shows that truth is very important value system for Jyotiba. So on the whole, if you look at the summary, what are the values you learn? The value of courage, value of fortitude, value of shared responsibility, value of human dignity and freedom, value of truth, and value of equality, value of justice, value of wisdom, value of education, value of freedom. So these are certain values we derive from the Jyotiba Phule's life, right? This would be sufficient with respect to Jyotirao Phule. Let's move to the next article. I'm sorry for this news article. Actually, this article was about the biotechnology, but somewhere because of some technical mistakes, the previous article has been pasted here. But the news article is with respect to biotechnology, and again, government has taken some made some policy changes with respect to biotechnology. That is what the news article is talking about. But let's see the biotechnology from ethical perspective. What are the ethical aspects of biotechnology, and how do we address these ethical uh, aspects of ethical issues of biotechnology? So biotechnology, the basic definitions and all, I'm not going to talk about it. It's with respect to GS paper 3. But let us see biotechnology from ethical perspective. So what are the ethical concerns in biotechnology? The first thing is biotechnology is nothing but manipulation of genetic material. So gene editing, gene testing, these kind of genetic data, manipulation of genetic data, handling of genetic data, this can be misused, and this will lead to a genetic discrimination. So now, as a human being, can I involve in this genetic discrimination? And do you think it is ethical to involve or ethical to control the evolution? This is first ethical concerns we need to consider in the biotechnology. And next ethical concern is justice and the fairness. Usually, if you look at these biotechnology or the technology from this advanced feature, all these treatments, drugs, or the new techniques, they are very expensive, and it clearly creates a gap between rich and the poor. So in the healthcare, if you are involving biotechnology, this is going to create a wide gap between rich and poor. So again, this goes against the value of fairness, this goes against the value of justice. And the next ethical concern is sustainability. You don't know the outcomes, you don't know the consequences. You can make a guess, but you are not very sure that this will be the, so there is a possibility of unintended consequences. So the question of sustainability. And then See, you are going for a genetic modification, genetic testing, and even extended version. There is a cloning experiments. When you are involved in all these things, possibility of cruelty, possibility of exploitation is there. So when you are involved in cruelty and exploitation, it means that there is no value of compassion, there is no value of non-maleficence. Again, these values are questioned here. These ethical concerns will be there. And one side there is a equity, another there is a profit. See, all these private entities, private institution, profit is very much important, but that does not mean that you compromise with equality and equity. But here there are chances you are going to compromise with equity aspect. So equity versus profit motive, and irreversibility. If the consequences, sustainability is one of the ethical concerns. In some way, the cloning, all these things, genetic modifications have been occurred. The new species have emerged. Now, how do you reverse it? Some of the changes are permanent in nature, and reversibility factor is zero. You cannot reverse it. If that happens, then this is going to create intergenerational. This is going to question the intergenerational justice, and this is going to question the intergenerational equity. So these are some of the ethical concerns of biotechnology. It is going to create a genetic discrimination. This is going to question the justice and fairness. This is going to question the sustainability. This is going to question the compassion and non-maleficence. This is going to question the equity aspect. This is going to question the intergenerational justice also. So these are some of the ethical concerns of biotechnology. Now, what are the solutions to it? How do you handle it? See, we cannot say that because of all these issues, we are going to stop the biotechnology. No, that is not the right way to handle issues like biotechnology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology. You cannot eliminate outrightly. That is not right way to handle. So, what are the ethical solutions? There are ethical reasons, but there are ethical solutions also. You implement this ethical solution to handle. And what are the ethical solutions? The first solution is we need to have a global guidelines. Global guidelines where all the uh, uh, countries should subscribe to it. They should implement these guidelines. So these guidelines should ensure accountability. They should ensure transparency. They should ensure precautionary principles. This is one ethical solution. And the second ethical solution is that when we are thinking of the certain principles, even we need to follow certain principles in the biotechnology. Bioethic principles are very much necessary. And what are the important principles that need to be taken into the consideration for biotechnology? Autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. So these are bioethic principles you need to take into the consideration with respect to biotechnology. Then we talked about unfairness in the last slide. We talked about injustice, unfairness in the ethical concern. Now, in order to uh, prevent these kind of gap in the healthcare, you have to promote the affordable healthcare technologies. This is going to ensure social justice. This is going to ensure inclusive and respect for individual dignity, individual freedom, and individual autonomy. So make sure that the country level and at the state level you need to have very strict law, and these laws, these policies should protect genetic data from the misuse. Make sure that no genetic information, genetic manipulation that leads to a negative consequences should be there at the implementation level. So misuse of genetic data you need to get rid of. And in focus on environmental stewardship and also intergenerational equity, where intergeneration justice was questioned in the ethical concerns, and in the ethical solution we are going to ensure the intergenerational equity, not equality, equity. So these are some of the ethical solutions for biotechnology. I think this would be sufficient. Now let's move to the next topic. The next topic is uh, this article is written by Jagan Mohan Reddy, the former chief minister of Andhra Pradesh, and this is written on the Ambedkar Jayanti day. This is the editorial. Here is talking about reclaiming Ambedkar for a modern Andhra Pradesh. From a state perspective, he has written this article. This is not at all important. But what you have to focus is the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and the values we learn from the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Again, connect with the first unit, life lessons from the eminent personalities, and what are the values you learn from these eminent personalities. So, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar here. So, Dr. Ambedkar is a jurist, political leader, philosopher, historian, orator, economics, teacher, editor, writer, revolutionary, who started Dalit movement in India, or inspired millions of people in India through his Dalit movement. Now, what are the values? the concept of Ambedkar talked about trinity of social values: liberty, equality, and fraternity. Liberty, it means that freedom from oppression. Equality, it ensure abolition of any discrimination, very precisely caste-based discrimination, gender-based discrimination. And fraternity is kind of brotherhood. It ensures social harmony, it ensures solidarity, it ensures mutual respect and social cohesion. So he talked about trinity of social values: liberty, equality, fraternity. So these values I also want to inculcate in my life. So these values I've learned from Ambedkar. This is one thing. The next value is social justice. So he talked about the marginalized weaker section in the society and empowerment of these weaker section, upliftment of these weaker section. It is very much necessary, because if this will lead to the social justice. And how do you ensure the social justice? Through the fairness, through creating equality or equal opportunities for all. So what are other values I am learning from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? The value of fairness, the value of equality. From this we are achieving social justice, right? And because of this discrimination, caste based discrimination, class based discrimination, this directly impact the human dignity, directly impact the human freedom, it directly impacts human autonomy. So he talked about individuals dignity. So every person is end in themselves. The concept of Kantian philosophy: you cannot use other person as means to achieve something. The same thing is upholded by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also. The purpose of society and governance should be enabled the full development of all its members. So human dignity, every individual human dignity, it has to be ensured, it has to be upheld. So human dignity is the next value, dignity and autonomy is the next value. And gender equality. And he told that women are the most oppressed among the all in our society. So he raised voice against the discriminatory practices, discriminatory situations that are prevalent in the society at that point of time. So gender equality, we talked about it, this is another value. And he talked about rationalism. The Jyotiba Phule also talked about rationalism. How do you get this rationalism? Through knowledge. How do you get this knowledge? Through education. So when you have knowledge, you can eliminate ignorance from a social level. Once you eliminate the ignorance, there is a social justice. Social justice will lead to the social progress. So rationalism. So rationalism, it means that you question everything, you're not going to accept anything blindly. So even Socrates also talked about the rationalism. Socrates, he also ensured the rationality. He told that you have to question each and everything. If you're convinced, then only you accept it. So rationalism. So this rationalism from every perspective: cultural aspect, religious aspect, social aspect. Make sure that you have that scientific temperament and ethical reasoning in your attitude. And again, the education, I just talked about it. Education lead to the knowledge, knowledge can eliminate the ignorance. So education is a instrument of empowerment, education is an instrument for social equality, education is instrument for social progress. So these are some of the values I derive out of the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. uh, Education as a tool of empowerment, rationalism, ethical reasoning, and scientific temperament, gender equality, human dignity and human autonomy, social justice, fairness, equality, liberty, fraternity. These are some of the values I derive from the life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Right? I think this is it for this article. Yeah, almost all the articles have been discussed. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please share the video. It means a lot to me. And thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good time and have a good preparation. Thank you so much.